I'm not looking to offend anyone. I'm not looking to attack anyone. I am simply expressing myself. And I'm not going around, pushing, videos on the people or making videos to attack certain individuals. All I wish to do is express myself and express what I have learned through life, through living, through looking within myself, through understanding myself. And I'm a human being just like everybody else out there. The only difference that I see is that I see certain things and I'm awake when it comes to in regards to identifying the ego, understanding the ego, and no longer living in that fantasy land. I've waken up and I see the reality, and that is what enlightenment is. That is what Buddha is. You see something because you're awake. And I was asleep, just like a lot of other people are asleep. The only difference is I woke up. And I've met people that are also awakened. And we see eye to eye on so many things that it's amazing. So what I'm doing is just expressing what I see as an awake person. Everybody can be awake as well. And it's not something special that you have to go to college for and get a PhD for. It's something that could happen suddenly. You could suddenly wake up right now. You could wake up tomorrow. Or you could wake up in 5 years or 10 years or however, it's different for different people. But basically, I see things from a different perspective. And I know how I used to be when I was asleep. So now I see both perspectives. I'm not better than anybody, but I just simply see the other side. That's all it is. It's like somebody that's lived in America all his life and never went to, say, visit China and never lived there. It's like me living in America for 20 years and then I moved over to China and lived in China for 20 years. Now I see both sides and I could kind of interpret both, and I could share with the Chinese, the Chinese, I could share with them in China what I've learned from America in my 20 years, and in America I could share to them what I've learned in China for 20 years. That's basically what it is. I see both sides. I've grown up all my life in America, Western culture. And I've exposed myself. I've found out and I discovered Eastern culture. And I've learned to appreciate it. I've learned, I started to study it, and I've been highly inspired by it, and it's completely changed my life. And now all I'm doing is sharing what I have learned from the Eastern side. Doesn't mean I'm better than anybody, but it just means that I see things from both perspectives, and I'm just trying to share that. I'm not trying to push anything on anybody. Any of these videos, I do not force people to click on it. So I'm not forcing anybody to click on anything. I'm not forcing anybody to listen. Everybody has the freedom to not click, to not listen, to watch whatever they want to watch. So if they hear something that they don't want to hear, I don't like to be the one to be blamed for that. You simply have to direct your time and energies onto something else that you do appreciate. Not everybody will appreciate what I have to say, because I say it from the heart and I don't hold back. I'm not trying to be nice to certain people. I'm just stating what I see. Sometimes I see things that are beautiful, sometimes I see things that are ugly. And I'm exposing both. Because if I only show one side, I'm doing a disservice to the other side. And what it is about me is that I have, I'm human. Just like every other human. I have an ego just like everybody else. If I did not have an ego, I would not even be able to communicate. I wouldn't have even learned languages of the ego. In order to function in civilized society, you have to develop an ego. It is necessary. If I didn't have a name, people wouldn't be able to refer to me as that is who he is. And if I didn't use language, it'd be very hard for me to convey any type of ideas to anyone. So I have an ego just like everybody else. The only difference is that I've learned to identify what the ego is, and I've learned to not be, and I've learned to realize, I realize that the ego is not me. I am not identified by the ego. I am no longer a slave to the ego. I am the master over the ego. So I could see the ego, whereas a lot of people, they can't. And that's what makes the difference. A lot of people are identified with the ego. They think that the ego is them. I've come to realize that the ego is not me. And that is the only difference. That is why when I make videos, people will see truth in what I say and think that I'm talking directly to them when I'm not even talking directly to them. I'm just basically stating what I see and what I've learned. But because I'm human, and I'm human just like everybody else. So if I understand myself, my inner self, if I understand myself, then I will understand all other human beings. Because everybody else is human just like me. I simply wish to identify the problems that I see within humanity and the problems that I see within society. Because once these problems are identified, then we could discover ways in which to solve some of these problems and to develop a better humanity, to develop a better society. Without identifying these problems, then we will continue to live in our habitual ways. And that is all I'm doing. And I'm a part of this. I'm a part of the problem. I'm human just like everybody else. So it's not that I'm trying to say that I'm better than anybody else because I don't have an ego. I have an ego just like everybody else. The only difference is that I've identified it. I've been awake. I woke up. And basically everybody could wake up. Everybody could identify the ego if they learn to understand where I'm coming from. Then when they identify it, then they will see reality. When they see reality, then there's no turning back. It's like seeing light for the first time. Once you see light, it's like there's so much beauty in the world. You've been living in darkness your whole life, and then when you see light, there's so much beauty. And once you see all that beauty, you don't want to go back to the darkness, because you see that there's something much better than how you used to live. And that's all I'm doing, is I want to show people the beauty of life. And that the current way of living is not the reality. It's all false. So once you see this, then you will be able to live a higher way of living, a better way of living.